Welcome back, everybody, and happy Monday. Thanks for being with us here on KXAN News at 4. Now, even though it's felt pretty cold outside, Austin still has not had a freeze since last winter at Camp Mabry. KXAN's Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannin is looking into the latest first freezes and where we could compare.
Interestingly, last winter had one of the latest first freezes ever. We waited several days into January for Austin's first freeze, and we're not seeing signs of a freeze in Austin if we don't get one tonight, and tonight could be a close call. So we've had no freezes in Austin since November 2nd, and by the end of winter, we typically get 12. Now, a late first freeze doesn't necessarily limit your total number of freezes, because last winter had a very late first freeze, but we ended up with an above average count of freezes, so they're not necessarily tied together. But by now, we should have all had a freeze here in Central Texas. Even the latest first freeze, which in Austin averages between November 28th and December 4th, that date has now come and gone. Our eastern counties usually see the first freeze by the end of November. Who has had a widespread freeze so far? Well, the Hill Country reported a widespread freeze, Williamson County and Milam County, but we have not had at least a widespread freeze in Travis, Hayes, Caldwell, Bastrop, Lee, Fayette counties yet, even though we've had some spotty areas get now down to below freezing, including at Austin's airport, but not at Austin's Camp Mabry. So these areas right here have yet to have a freeze, and they should have by now. Let's look at those latest first freezes. January 15th, back in 1989 was the latest, but you can see January 6th of last winter, this year, was the second latest first freeze ever, and a couple more dates on January 4th, and then one there in January 2nd, and then the rest of the latest first freezes happen in December. And if we don't have a freeze tonight in Austin, then we're probably not looking for one for another week, week and a half at the very earliest, which would put it in the top 20 latest first freezes on record. By the way, on KXAN.com, of course, we keep track of freezes. We keep track of the heat, the cold. Also, the KXAN First Warning Weather Team have put together our predictions for the number of freezes that we expect to get here this winter. You can get that at KXAN.com under the Weather and Traffic tab. Well, we've got a beautiful afternoon and early evening on the way. Here's our Covert Bee Cave Auto Mall camera with blue sky and sun. Of course, we had quite the breezy afternoon yesterday, helping to drive in the chillier air. The wind hasn't settled completely, but it's turning much lighter, and we do expect our wind to turn calm here tonight. Statewide, we're basically clear. There's an area of high pressure settled just to the north of us, giving us a little bit of a northerly wind, and that high is going to shift a little bit here tomorrow, helping to bring in a southerly wind. Before it does so, the wind is going to be calm enough and combined with clear skies tonight to make for a very cold start to your Tuesday. But the cold should be limited because we'll start seeing a south breeze tomorrow, and with abundant sun and no clouds in the sky at all, it should be a much warmer afternoon. Tomorrow evening and night, clear. Wednesday, full sunshine through the day too. I think I'd be surprised if you see much in the way of clouds through Wednesday, even Thursday looking completely sunny. I think Friday's could be the next day you see a few clouds in the sky. So down to 35 in Austin tonight. So clearly it's cold and near freezing, but we're thinking a temperature stay above freezing in Austin. But there will be a lot of spots within a degree or two of the freezing mark, and some areas that we're already forecasting below freezing numbers, like in Llano, at freezing there in Cameron, at a lot of 33s, 34s, and 35s on the map, mean that even just slightly colder than expected can mean way more of us freeze tonight. Tomorrow, a sunny day, a bit breezy, but it's a south wind, and that's the wind that's going to kick up our temperatures from the low 60s today to almost 70 here tomorrow. And then we get into the 70s on Wednesday, even as a weak cold front comes in, kicks up the wind a little bit, knocks us down slightly for Thursday, but we're still in the 70s. Friday 70s, Saturday 70s, and then another cold front this weekend knocks us down into the 60s here for Sunday and Monday. Low temperatures, see what I mean? Not a whole lot of cold after tomorrow morning. Then it's 40s Wednesday and Thursday morning, and then real comfortable for this time of year anyway, in the 50s Friday morning, through early next week. And if you're wondering about the humidity with some heat around, there's not much of that either. Late Thursday into Friday, we start to bubble briefly into that muggy category, but nothing terrible. Here's our first warning weather 7-day forecast. You can see a lot of sunshine to be had after what was a very cloudy week last week and cold as well. Well, we're going the opposite direction this week with more 70s than 60s, although we do have some rain chances here Sunday and Monday. They are right now low, 10% chance Sunday, 20% chance on Monday.